Secretary of State Colin Powell was a guest on the air earlier this morning and bristled when I asked him about Senator Orrin Hatch's assessment that U.S. intelligence has now intercepted communications between bin Laden supporters actually discussing the attacks. Bristles may be too strong of a word, but I think he made it quite clear he is extremely uncomfortable that Senator Orrin Hatch is talking about any of this intelligence information. You understand that, I guess?
Yes, I do. Well, look, I think there are two dimensions to that. The first is we obviously have certain kinds of techniques and methods which we don't want compromised, because if they get compromised, then you lose the capacity to use those. And obviously, right now, what we're trying to do in the intelligence area is figure out exactly what happened, look back at what might have been indicators that were discounted because they weren't seen as plausible, and then pursue those leads. So anything that compromises the ability to find out what happened is obviously something that's not going to be in our interest, number one.
All right, but Dennis, do you have reason to believe these communications were actually intercepted, showing? I mean, we know that an Arab newspaper based in London, I think at least the editor had reported that these attacks were telegraphed as long as 3 weeks ago. Do you believe the intelligence information?
Look, my sense at this point is we don't really know. And the tendency is to leap to a conclusion because we all want to know in response to such a horrific set of events. I would just tell you from a historic standpoint, we were convinced early on that with Pan Am 103 it was groups based in Syria. Later on we found out that it wasn't. It may well be that the speculation about Osama bin Laden turns out to be right, but I think we really do have to be cautious at this point. The people who carried this out not only had great organization, they had people who could fly these planes. That's not something that is normally associated with the Osama bin Laden group. So I think one has to be somewhat cautious, and I think that Secretary Powell's reaction was entirely appropriate.
All right, Dennis Ross, thank you very much for all your insights this morning. We very much appreciate your joining us. Right now, we're going to